The world of Susan Bysiewicz has been turned upside down in the past few weeks, really the past few months. Initially viewed as the front runner in the race for governor, she switched races after Senator Chris Dodd's seat opened up, and Dick Blumenthal declared his intentions to run for Senate, opening up the coveted Attorney General job. But when questions arose about her eligibility, whether she had in fact been involved in active practice for 10 years, she brought the question to court and lost. I spoke with her today about regrets and resolutions to move ahead. Thanks, Susan, for joining us today. Right off the bat, I should say that we served on a panel together last week. It was a Women in Leadership panel hosted by the West Haven Chamber. It was a great panel.
It was terrific.
Great women on there, wonderful stories. And you shared the story about how when you were first running for state rep in, was it 1992?
Yes, absolutely right.
How you didn't really had no idea what you were doing, but you took this class and you knocked on the doors of 5,000 registered Democrats in Middletown. And you spoke of it so fondly. Really, you did. It was so striking. And I'm wondering, first of all, how much of that love you still have for knocking on doors. And also, they also asked us a question about regrets. And you said, lightly, but you said, I also regret that I didn't run for governor.
Yeah, that was a joke. I had a bigger regret that or a story to share for other women. But yeah, I did that as a joke because obviously, you know, a lot has happened over the past couple of weeks. And I love campaigning. I love that person-to-person campaigning. And I am convinced running for statewide office would always be successful for me if I had a chance to knock on every person's door. But we're 3 million people. That's a little difficult to do. But I do miss that person-to-person campaigning. That kind of grassroots work was always a great pleasure for me to do.
So right after the decision came down from the Supreme Court, there was a lot of conjecture, a lot of rumors flying around. How much did you really consider running for a third office?
I was very much focused on running for Attorney General. I've loved being Secretary of the State, and the good news is I have another 7 months to serve. After I lost the court decision, some people are saying, gee, perhaps run for this office or that office. And you know what? I was ready to do something different. I've loved public service. I have 7 months to enjoy serving as Secretary of the State, and I hope to do that.
So I have a good friend. I think I told you the story. I have a good friend who, on the day that the decision came down, his name is Steve Melikowski. He's an attorney. And he said, I don't get it. I mean, everything that she does is exactly what we learn in law school that an active lawyer does. I mean, can you explain, what do you think happened? Because you were certainly the one who brought it to court. I mean, what do you think happened?
You know, it will be hard to know until the Supreme Court issues a written decision. I will share with you that many lawyers were just as surprised as your friend. I was certainly very surprised because Judge Sheldon had said the voters should decide, and I just assumed, because I do so many different legal tasks as Secretary of the State, that the Supreme Court would affirm. They didn't, and it was a very surprising and disappointing day. But the good news is I've moved on, and I've had a week and a half to get used to the decision. So now it's time to write the new chapter.
Just to go back for a second, though, did you ever consider a legislative decision solution to clarify what active practice meant? I mean, did you have the support in the General Assembly for that?
You know, I never discussed it with the legislature because I figured we would have a declaratory ruling in time, and we did. And I am very appreciative to the justices because they did move very, very quickly. There wasn't much legislative history on this very old statute, and this is the first time we've actually had some case law on it. So perhaps, you know, that's something for the future.
So what are your options at this point? What are you playing around with? Anything?
Well, first, I'd say this, that we have a very exciting primary season coming up. We're going to have federal primaries most likely and statewide primaries after both conventions. It's a really exciting time for voters because they have a lot of great choices on the Democratic side, on the Republican side. So we're preparing for those primaries. We're preparing for the general election. After the August primaries are over, I've told my Democratic colleagues I'll be out vigorously campaigning for the Democratic team. And then after the November election, I will make some decisions about what I hope to do in the future. I've just had a little time to get used to the decision. I know I love public service. I know I'd like to contribute in the future, but I haven't decided what form that contribution might take.
Right. And who are you going to vote for, or who are you going to support for AG?
You know, I'm supporting the Democratic team and looking forward to being out campaigning for everyone after August.
So does that cause family problems? Is your brother-in-law running?
You know, here's the thing, and we laugh about this in our family, that my siblings, and I have 3 of them, they all married Democrats except for my sister Gail. She married a Republican. We're still trying to figure out how he got into our family. We can't understand that.
Right. And so you went to the conventions. I know you spoke at the conventions. And
I did.
You were very warmly received. Looking down towards 2012, which I know is a long way away, and you say that you aren't ready to make any decisions. I mean, what are the possibilities, though, for you?
You know, the convention was a great opportunity to see many of my supporters, and I was so heartened by the very warm response that I got at the convention. So I know that perhaps for the future there might be some possibilities, and I've had all kinds of suggestions, and I'm still sort of sitting back and taking those in as I wind up my Attorney General campaign. I have many supporters to thank across the state, and so I'm working on doing that at the moment.
Do you think that these primaries are going to be more widely watched and more people will vote in them because it is such a hot political season here in Connecticut?
You know, here is something very exciting. For many years, we did not have much movement in the statewide constitutional offices. Now there is an open seat for United States Senate, Governor, Attorney General, Secretary of the State, Lieutenant Governor. It's all very exciting. There are many new people coming forth in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Voters are going to have a lot of choices. We have a nationally watched Senate race. It's very exciting.
Let me just ask you one other thing, because you've had your share of troubles in office. There's also that investigation into the database that you compiled. What's the status of that? And did you use that database for political purposes?
No. Here's the thing. That database is a constituent database to help with constituent service. And there was a complaint made by a partisan Republican. And the Attorney General is doing what he has to do to investigate, and I'm very confident that after he goes through that investigation that we will be vindicated.
Are you, Susan, are you an optimistic person? Are you someone who says to yourself, well, things happen for a reason?
I do. I'm one of those people who believes that there are reasons why things happen the way they do. There's a plan for all of us. We just don't know what it is in advance.
Right. Well, good luck, and I appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Ahead, former Senate Majority Leader George Jepsen is vying for the AG spot Bysiewicz was after. He's the Democrats' endorsed candidate.